Hello, everybody, and welcome to our webinar, which is all about, well, it's all about working with young people. It's not about customer service skills. That title's kind of gone, we've gone beyond that now. I met with Kate yesterday, and we've got a fantastic webinar lined up for you. And Kate from Nottingham College is going to be here telling us how Kate and her team and Nottingham College are really taking the bull by the horns and looking at ways in which they can engage young people to really think about their future. And I'm not on my own. I have got Kate joining us, but we've also got the wonderful Claudia. So Claudia, welcome to the webinar. It's been ages. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Hi, everyone. I'm so happy and excited to be here. Yay. So, Louise, this evening is not going to be the same old. This evening is going to be amazing. We're going to learn a lot of new things together. And you know, Louise, we often talk about preparing students for the future. And do we really? Today, we're moving just beyond skills. Today, we are here to explore how immersive simulations and student-led gallery and things like that can help young people bridge the gap between their potential and the professional world, one digital artifact at a time. So I'm super excited about that. And I'm super excited to introduce the amazing Kate Wyles. That is our guest this evening. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Kate.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Hi, Louise. Hi, Claudia. How are we doing?
Look at that immersive room that you're in.
I know.
Immersive room. And that's a bit of Van Gogh going on there.
It is. I'm lucky enough to join you from Nottingham College's immersive classroom. So I thought this would be a really nice place to actually have a chat about this webinar and introduce you to some of the experiences that we've been using at Nottingham College. It's also got fantastic aircon, not being biased, but at the minute in the UK, woo, it's a little warm. So I thought I'd immerse myself in the wonderful world of Van Gogh for you this afternoon. So, yes.
That's amazing. Yes, it is a bit of a heat wave everywhere. I'm up in Scotland, so it's just like a very special summer. But my heart goes out to everyone that's struggling a bit. I do have a very hairy dog who's struggling, though, a little bit. Yeah. So if you are just joining us, a big welcome. Thank you so much for giving up your precious time. I guarantee it won't be wasted when you hear what Kate has been doing at Nottingham College. Please do say hello in the chat. Please put in where you're from. We love seeing where you're from. And of course, any questions. And if you've attended any of our webinars before, you'll know that we don't just leave the questions to the end. We make sure that we answer your questions as we go. For example, Simon wants to know if you've got air conditioning, Kate.
Yes, I have. It's fantastic and I'm loving it. Even though we were talking about hair and my hair just goes out in this kind of weather. But in here it is lovely. So hopefully my brain will work properly for this webinar. Yeah.
So please do keep your questions coming in the chat, and Claudia and I will be making sure that we answer all the questions as well. And don't forget that if you have any support questions or any account related questions, you can always email Ivan, support@thinglink.com. And we will send you an email after the webinar that's going to have the link to the deck and, of course, some other useful and helpful links. So just before we start, I thought it'd be nice to say and ask what's been going on. So, Claudia, what have you had going on in the last few months? Because it's a while since we had a webinar.
Oh, yes, a lot going on. So we have to close all the professional development courses in Aosta Valley where I lead them, and then a lot of webinars, a lot of running here and there. Last week I was in London and it was a nightmare. 35 degrees. I wasn't prepared for that because my telephone told me, Claudia, don't worry, it's going to be between 11 and 22 degrees. And silly Claudia, believe that I was dying. I was dying. 30 pounds in Compede for my poor feet. I mean, that was disaster. When I came home, it was even worse because we're in a huge heat wave. I'm in the middle of the mountains, but it's like hectic and hot and not for the right reasons. So, you know, a lot going on, yes, but
A lot
something
going
is
on.
coming soon for me, so I'm pretty excited, So yeah.
Excellent. So to all the teachers out there that are coming towards the end of term, we salute you and hope
Yes.
that webinar gives you a nice opportunity to join in and celebrate everything that's been happening with Kate at Nottingham College. So one thing I wanted to show you that is really lovely, and that is we recently launched our new ThingLink Certified Creator course. This is live and ready for everybody to do. So there are 5 modules in the new ThingLink Certified Creator course, and everything we're showing you tonight, you'll be able to do once you go through. We've got some random people joining the chat. That's on the vertical view, so we'll just get rid of those. But yeah, so there's a new ThingLink Certified Creator course, which you're all welcome to do. It's completely free, and you do get a micro credential certificate, which you're welcome to keep and share. But the purpose of this webinar, of course, was to really focus on the examples that Kate's been able to share. And Kate's been a case study with us before, haven't you, when you launched your jelly and lace exhibition?
Wow.
Do you want to tell us a bit about that? Because that was really special.
Yeah, sure. The Jelly and Lace exhibition was quite a large project that was delivered with our fine arts students at Nottingham College. And the purpose behind the project was that they had a little field trip over to Nottingham Castle, which I'm sure some of you have heard. Obviously, home of Sheriff of Nottingham, all of our history and things like that. Nottingham Castle is real, it's beautiful, it's the pinnacle of our city, and inside of the castle it's got some fantastic artifacts, it's got a beautiful gallery, and the grounds are absolutely stunning. So as part of an ongoing project for these students, they were invited to go to Nottingham Castle, take inspiration from something at the castle. It didn't have to be a piece of artwork, it could be anything that the castle offers. And then give their own interpretation from the lens of a up-and-coming new artist. Wow. And they produced the most amazing ThingLink that I've seen in a long time that works perfectly well in VR headsets. Here we are. And the whole thing was designed by the students. The images that you're seeing here are 360 photographs of the inside of the castle, and we built the experience together with the educators as well, to really capture that exhibition and make it something that we can remember. What really kind of sits with me to this day about that actual experience was that art exhibitions only last for a couple of days, you know, a week if you're lucky. And if you can't get there for whatever reason, you've missed it. You've missed that immersive experience that you would get by physically being there. So we wanted to recreate that completely with our 360 environments, with the work of the students, and Jelly and Lace was born. And it's got a funny title. The reason for the title is that lace is part of Nottingham heritage. We're very well known for our lace factories and our lace production to this day. Obviously Robin Hood and all of that. I'm sure he wore lace at some point. And the jelly part was actually one of the pieces of art that one of our students wanted to embed inside her reaction to the castle. And she used augmented reality to physically place a jelly on top of Nottingham Castle that wobbles.
I love it.
There you go.
Yeah. Absolutely incredible. But what I loved about this was that, like you say, it was an everlasting exhibition. Sometimes exhibitions and student showcases only last at best a couple of weeks, but when they're taken down, they're gone forever. But with this, you can go and relive that, and you could even play it in your immersive room that you're in right now, Kate. And we could step back into it as well, couldn't we? So that gives you a really nice flavour of the work that Kate's been doing at Nottingham College. And for those that are just joining us and maybe don't know about ThingLink, it's quite difficult to sum it up in one kind of statement. But ThingLink is now 16 years old. Can you believe it? And it's evolved so much in the last 16 years. But essentially, it helps you take the real world, the places, environments, situations, materials, and stories, and bring them to life as immersive and accessible learning experiences. And when we're thinking about, offering these to young people who maybe don't get to explore a place of work because they're restricted from accessing that place of work, whether it's age or location or financial constraints, being able to recreate these and make them fully immersive is just something that's underrated, in my opinion, because you're actually giving someone the experience of that, and it can be experienced any place, anytime, on any device as well. And if you've not seen ThingLink before, this is a really nice example that we've put together, thinking about customer service skills, which was the original title. Now, we see things like this all the time. We see these kind of posters that might be on the wall in a classroom, they might be on the wall somewhere in a lecture theatre or other places. But, a static poster doesn't really, it's not a learning experience. So how can you take a static poster, a static infographic, and turn it into a learning opportunity? And that's exactly what we've done with this one. So here's a customer skill: be welcoming. So we've got a video here that actually shows what it's like to be welcoming as someone comes into the store. A smile, welcome them. And then as we move on through, you can see that this number 2 is opened now. So we're actually guiding the learner through that experience as well. So this one's all about being informed. Make sure you have the product information to hand. Be careful of body language, the way you stand, the way you smile, the way that you are using your eyes to show whether you're attentive, kind, and thoughtful. Be a good listener. And now you can see that the number 5's open there. We've got a little bit of a throwback there to those COVID times. Then also, how to speak to customers when they leave as well. So you're going to get more from that experience than just simply looking at this poster. And all of the text that I've shown you there can also be opened up in Immersive Reader, so it's incredibly accessible. And there's also a web accessibility view at the bottom, which means that this experience can be used with screen readers. It can be used with other accessibility tools as well. But now you've seen that I've opened those, and there's a button here which enables us to go and explore the actual place of work as well. And here we're going into the cafe to explore it further. We can even see what's going on with the espresso machine. And here's another example. And Kate, do you want to just talk us through this one? Because this is one that you particularly liked with your students.
Yeah, sure. So what we were finding is we're having more and more conversations with employers. And after finishing up talking to lots of different sectors within our region, one thing that kept popping up was the fact that our students, when they're going for a job interview, didn't have any experience to actually reflect upon. So they couldn't talk about it. So this experience that Louise is showing at the minute is one of an industrial kitchen. And what we've been using this for is basically to give our students the chance to actually enter an industrial kitchen, which, as you can imagine, is an area that is quite restricted. Obviously, our learners that reach us at college are between the ages of 16 to 18 mostly. So being under the age of 18 it's been quite difficult for them to actually enter any particular spaces where they might want to actually explore a career, but being able to build them in a virtual environment is actually giving them a chance to step foot into those spaces to see what it actually feels like to be there. And this one we really like, because we kind of introduce you to the different elements that you're going to find inside of an industrial kitchen. So there's like the grills, the fryers, the different kinds of chopping boards that you're going to get. So all while they're having a kind of a lovely walk around, they're actually learning about what to expect when they actually do step foot for real life into one of these spaces. And this is actually gold to an employer, because you're starting that conversation flow, you know, and I think without being able to do this virtually, our poor students would stand there and they couldn't say anything. So obviously have that potential to be overlooked.
Amazing. When we put this example together, we just thought it was a good example of ThingLink. We didn't actually think it was going to be used in such a way with learners. So we're delighted to hear that these kinds of, because this is actually a library image as well. So this was just available in the ThingLink library, so anyone could use it. So it's great to hear that it's been used and it's so valuable. So that's a really nice example of how you can use ThingLink to link the scenes together. And of course, as I mentioned, you've got all of the accessibility options in there as well. The other thing that you can do with this, Kate, if we share the example, you're able to clone it as well. So yeah, you can actually take these and make them your own and then change out the backgrounds if you wanted to as well. So that just shows you quite nicely there something that is a really useful asset to use with the students. So we've looked at that kind of image making it accessible. You've touched on a 360 image, and that's kind of almost like a contextual information, isn't it? Because there wasn't any kind of challenges or anything to do there. And then we've got this example, which again, you know, for future employers to hear about, is the ability to look at procedural information as well. And here we've got, you know, what you would do in order to install this particular machine. So what you would do is go onto site, and it's a bit like an adult escape room. I think you've probably heard me go through this one before, but there's the key, you unlock the cabinet. There, you open the cabinet, and then we're inside it. And of course, imagine that in your immersive room, Kate.
Exactly. Yeah, this is a really great example, because it not only does it do what you've just explained there, but it also saves our college having to provide the same piece of kit for every single student. And we're one of the largest colleges in the UK. So being able to provide a switchboard like this in this particular state for every single student is actually going to be quite tricky, if not near impossible. Having it on a ThingLink in this way to access whenever is sort of convenient for those students and the educators is just brilliant. And they can set it as a piece of homework. They don't physically have to come in and be able to see the kit. It's all there done for them. So yeah, in an immersive space like mine that I'm sitting in at the minute, it's great, but also on a screen it works great, and for homework it's fantastic.
And are people using it with headsets in the college as well? Have you been using it on the, I think it's MetaQuest you've got there?
Yeah, sure. We have a bank of MetaQuest headsets that we've been exploring ThingLink with, and it works really seamlessly, again, to try and get that more immersive feeling. And I'm going to touch on that shortly with some aviation experiences that we've been exploring over the past couple of months with our students. But the 3D models as well, obviously we talked about the 360 spaces, but having a 3D model is so tangible, even though you're not physically touching it, but it feels like you can move it around and you can see the different parts. I think there might be one on it. Yeah, there we go. This kind of experience, you can actually move it around with your hand when you're inside the headset to have a look around that component. So yeah, it really does sort of give you that experience that, oh my gosh, I am actually there.
Absolutely. Yeah. I sometimes think that, you know, we think that headsets are maybe quite limiting for people that can't use them, maybe, you know, with prescription lenses. So I think when you try and see the potential for using it across a mix of devices, and even if you've got an iPad and you are showing that experience, it actually moves with you, so you can have that immersive experience on an iPad as though you were in the kitchen or in that particular water lab there. So there's lots of ways in which you can engage with it, but when headsets work, they do work really well, don't they? They do really make a difference. So I've just gone back to the original deck here, and I know that we've already started calling some of these things out. So we have accessibility that's built in by default, and that's with some of the features that I've shown you just then. But the ability to make your existing materials more accessible as well. So you can upload, whether you've got PDFs, you saw that PDF in that device that you were just looking at, that was actually created to be something that's more accessible than just having a PDF of how to use the instructions. Amazing. So if you have got instructions to things on a PDF, why not try and make them a bit more engaging by creating that immersive experience? And then we've seen, and you're going to show us how ThingLink is being used to support comfort and confidence and understanding. This might be around transitions and becoming more familiar with a school site as well, or a college department. I'm not going to give away too much because I know you've got a fantastic example about that. But also, and I think you summed it up there as well, connecting with learners in more impactful ways. So combining the visuals, audio, text, 3D objects, it can feel much more inclusive and responsive to diverse needs. So let's move on to one of your brilliant examples that you wanted to talk about, which was, and I know that you actually went to a careers fair at the airport. Is that right?
Wow.
Yeah, we were lucky enough to be invited over to East Midlands Airport, which is our local airport in Nottingham, for their first, I think it was their first, Aviation Careers Day, and it was absolutely brilliant. So we had schools and colleges and students, educators come from all over the East Midlands to experience what it would feel like to actually be working in the aviation industry. Obviously, aeroplanes are what I would say kind of a hard to access thing. If you wanted to be a pilot or you wanted to be part of a cabin crew. And unfortunately, the hundreds of people that came through the door would not be able to experience that in real time. But we use this experience here with all the visitors over at the Careers Fair to actually give them that little taste of that hard to reach environment on that day. And bear in mind, these young people were kind of trying to see where they would fit. They like the idea of an aviation career, but is it for them? Not really sure. You know, how does it feel? You know, can I see a place for me in this environment? So we ran a couple of ThingLink experiences, the one being a cabin crew training program where our students could literally step foot onto, here we go, let's get started.
Hello, and welcome to our cabin crew safety.
They're very polite. So you can step foot onto that aircraft and you can move around, you can see the different pieces of equipment. Wow. You're in the cockpit, you can do this at your leisure, so it almost feels like you're immersed in that particular space. But it did give our students, you know, that range of careers that they could explore. So it's not just about becoming a pilot, it's not just becoming cabin crew, but there's so many so many other careers that you can do in the aviation industry, from being an engineer to even working in the bar at the airport. You know, all these wonderful things that make airports what they are and the exciting, vibrant places. ThingLink really did give us that chance to give them that taste, that real live taste of what it's like to actually be there and be in that particular aircraft that day.
So what we're showing you now is also a scenario, which is kind of taking those layers of information, whether it's, you know, wanting to learn about safety equipment handling or passenger management. So it's broken those in like a micro learning experience. So you can actually choose through going on to these, then you've got another introduction here of how to use the oxygen mask and when it's going to come down. So this is actually something that the learners can sit and go through, like you say, at their own leisure, and explore. And if you go on through, you can actually see even further 360s of the plane and where you can find all the first aid kits. And that's maybe something we should all know if we're going to go on a plane, really, isn't it? And then it's going to ask you questions as well about where the right location is as well. So there's different types of questions that have been added to this experience so that when they come through the other side of it and they've been through the whole experience, they will have gained not just conceptual knowledge, but they've also had increased their understanding of the whole kind of place and space and situation and what to do in that situation. So this is something that's really new, and I'd be delighted to share it with you all, because quite often I think we see ThingLink being used for those interactive images, as I showed you before, and virtual tours, and those on their own merit are a world away from a static poster or a PowerPoint, for example, or slides, which you know, in the right context are helpful, but these have just been elevated. So what we've tried to do with ThingLink is to actually demonstrate, and this is some thinking that our founder and CEO, Ulla Maria Koivull, has been developing, and saying that through those interactive scenarios, you start by developing your conceptual knowledge, and that helps to answer questions like, what is this? What does it do? Why is it used? And then as we go round, procedural knowledge, what happens next? How is this task completed? Why is every step important? Down to situational awareness, what is happening now? Is this usual? What information is important right now? What might happen next? Then the decision making, what do I do in this situation? Which is the very essence of kind of branching scenarios, right the way through to problem solving. What caused the problem? Can it be fixed? And then communication, what would you say? And I think this bit is the bit that I think you do so well at the college, Kate, and that is around self-efficacy and confidence. Wow. So how do we then move from exploring something to actually demonstrating our self-efficacy and being confident? And the example that I think that you've created with your students to demonstrate this so well is this one, which is a student-led showcase and the artworks. Do you want to talk us through this? Because this is just outstanding. And there was a quote that you said to me when we were talking about it, where a young person heard that, you know, her work was good enough to be featured in an exhibition.
Oh, yes. So I work quite heavily with our art departments. Obviously, we've talked about the Jelly and Lace exhibition, but this particular experience is a very recent one. It was only created maybe 2 weeks ago. And again, we were trying to capture that essence of let's capture the moment of our exhibition, all that hard work that our students have put into creating their pieces. We wanted a repository almost, so it can be experienced anywhere in the world at any particular point. So I worked alongside the educators who gave their students the chance to explore ThingLink independently, to document their pieces. And this is what they've come up with. And the student in particular that Louise was mentioning there is a young student called Moth, who designed the most beautiful, here we go, most beautiful outfit. And they are a performance artist, and they wanted to show the world their beautiful performance in this amazing outfit that they've designed themselves and created themselves in order to progress onto a fashion course starting in September. So Moth was physically at the exhibition, and a member of the public that had come in to see the exhibition was so blown away by this experience. They couldn't help but go up to Moth and go, my goodness, this is like something that you could see at the V&A in London. And the V&A, Victoria and Albert Museum, is where you want to be. If you're a fashion designer or an artist or a creative, you know, for someone to say that at this level, and
Amazing.
these students were pre-access level, so they're just starting their journey in their creativity. ThingLink and this experience actually gave this student the ability to do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible, and please do pass our thanks on to Moth, and how proud we are to showcase their work as well. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And of course, this is something that students can talk about with passion. And when we talked yesterday, Kate, about some of the challenges for students going on to another transition in their journey into education, employment and training, it's having the confidence to talk about things. And if you've got something like this that you can start showing your spirit with when you talk about it, and that passion, that just exudes, doesn't it?
It does. And I know a lot of young people find it quite difficult to communicate verbally. And certainly, music there, certainly, these young art students find it difficult to have that conversation. But if they have something physical like this ThingLink, you know, this was sparking the conversation. This was actually giving the student the chance to go, this is my work. Do you want to talk to me about it? And that's how it kind of, it got flow. The whole conversation was flowing. And I know in Moth's situation, they did not stop talking for the whole 3 hours of this exhibition, and had to have a bit of a lie down afterwards. But oh my gosh, the experience was so great, because it gave them that chance to talk about it. I can see this now, you know, what is this about? That two-way dialogue was actually being developed from this one experience.
And I guess, you know, when you look at kind of other media, and I think what you do so well is that, you know, it's not like you've got to rehearse and sit in front of a camera and that's the final product. You know, you can go back and add bits to this, can't you? Or the students can go back and add an image, they can add a video, they can add some text, they can narrate it themselves. So it's actually multi-layered and multimodal, again, sort of leaning into the accessibility angle there, that is really making it personalized for them. They can do it whichever way they want to and build it up over time. And it's something that they can keep as well.
And they can share. I mean, what we found, we have a lot of international students here in Nottingham, and end of year exhibitions like this one, it's kind of the end product of a lot of hard work. And some of our students' families, they can't be here because they live in a different country. So to be able to capture it in this way and generate a really simple link, QR code, they can send that to their family members who may be in Africa, wherever, and they can talk to them on the phone and they're looking at the same thing. And I think that's quite magical, because it almost feels like they're together, because they are experiencing the same work and having that same excitement and looking at the same stuff at the same time. I just think it really does bring that moment together as a family, and, you know, us as a college as well, to be able to provide that for our students is just fantastic.
Yeah. Gosh, there's so much in this webinar already. When we think about kind of the approaches that you're using, it's real world examples, building confidence, making things accessible, going to places you've never been before. There's so much in there that actually, if you kind of piece that together, that's your strategy, isn't it, in terms of being able to really help young people on their path. It's brilliant, Kate, it really is. So going on to the next one then, and if, by the way, when you get the deck, that I've put the links in there as well, so people can explore those if they want to and take inspiration from them. And this next example, I think, is just phenomenal. So Ian, who's created this, would you like to introduce it? And then we can take a look.
Yeah, for sure. So this is an experience that one of our incredibly talented educators at Nottingham College, called Ian Mellor, has created himself. He's a big advocate for digital, absolutely loves experimenting. And what he wanted to do with this experience was to create an environment that he can advertise to our new cohort of students, which will be coming to us this September, to give them the chance to have a look around without physically being in our campus, of our wonderful, wonderful esports arena, which we're seeing here. So this is actually a 360 photograph of that particular space that our students can study in. So we're going through to the next room now. So Ian's been that savvy, because he's brilliant, and put together what it would feel like to be in an esports arena if you were to actually become well, explore a career in that particular industry, which is a huge industry at the minute. So he's put in his little tags, which is shaped like our logo, just a little, yeah, that one, it looks fantastic, to keep on brand. He's given our students, our new students, a little glimpse of what to expect if you were to step into one of these huge arenas. And they are all over the place. We have a concert arena in Nottingham, and I know that the British Esports Association do host their tournaments there. But if you'd never been in that building, it's massive, like well, not as big as Wembley Stadium, but it's huge. It could be quite intimidating. But this experience would give our students, you know, that initial introduction to, so that's the stage, so that's the rigging. So what are these people doing? That's the shoutcaster area. So he's given them that taste of, this could be you. If you do my course, you come to our college, you could end up here. And the excitement that is going to instill into anyone that's going to come to us. Here he is.
Ian Miller. I will.
Oh no, please play it. Ian's put his own voice over his introduction.
So he's been able to really engage with his students right from the outset. Before they even get to college, they're knowing a bit more about Ian, what the environment's going to look like. I think that's fantastic. It really is.
I do, and I think, and he's, I think by doing this, it's taking away that layer of uncertainty and that layer of fear of starting something new. And young people coming into college, it's a big step, a big transition, especially if you've just come from school. You might not necessarily have got the academic grades that you were hoping for at school, and you want to do well. You come to college, it's a new chapter. By creating something like this that students can view before they've even stepped foot into our esports space or even our campus, they've met Ian, they understand the course, they can see where they're going to study, which is super exciting. But he's also put a few little questions in there, you know, to identify whether this is for you.
Yeah, I saw this. So this is where you can put some questions in, and here it links through. So it's a conditional transition, so you can learn more about being organized and what. So it's not just an introduction to the classroom like a virtual tour. It's actually showing all of the modules that the students and the units the students are going to be going through from the outset as well. So that's unit A1, and here we've got A2. What will help you move on to the next step in college? Excellent. And learning about designing and presentation as well. And designing research posters as well. What a fantastic course. I think I want to come to the college and do that.
I want to study this course. It's so exciting. And I think it's such a wonderful example of how to make your students at ease with this transition and welcome them to our wonderful college. You know, before we've even met face to face, they know Ian's a fantastic guy. You know, he's friendly. He kind of looks like that avatar, which is great. But they've got an expectation now, you know, that these are the standards that we're hoping for. You know, don't be late. This is what you're going to do in your unit. You're going to have a fantastic time in this amazing establishment. Welcome. You know, this is your space. You know, come to our college. Come and do well. You're going to do well. You know, it's that initial, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I can't wait for September, which I hope students are thinking. I don't know, but we'll see. With more experiences like this, I'm sure they will do. I'm hoping Ian's actually on this webinar
I hope so. If he's
Yeah.
not on it right now, hopefully he'll catch up with the replay as well. So yesterday, you and I were talking, Kate, about some statistics that had come out in the UK, and I can put them into the chat. But there was there's a survey done all the time about young people who become not in education, employment and training, or known as NEET. And I think you and I, we both agree that we don't particularly like the word NEET. But there's been an increase of, 89,000 or 55,000 on the previous quarter, 89,000 on the previous year. There's over 1 million young people now, aged 16 to 24, who are classed as not in education, employment and training. So these are the very young people that we're hoping will come into the college. And this is your way of actually making sure that those young people are going on to positive destinations. And as a parallel to this as well, of course, there's an increase of the numbers of young people with additional support requirements as well, and additional support needs. So everything we've shown so far on this webinar hopefully will start to make an impact on these figures, but we can't do that alone. It needs people like you who are actually developing strategies to be incredibly proactive. And I just wondered, because I think it's such a valuable opportunity for you to be on this webinar, what are the kinds of, these things are fabulous and they're great and you've been able to develop them, but how can other people get started in taking the same route that Nottingham College are taking?
Obviously, you've mentioned the training, the new certified training with ThingLink. That's really great because it does give you an overview from the very basics of how to put your very first hotspot, which is what you can see flashing there on the screen, onto a 2D image or a 360 image. And you can see how easy it is to build these things. And I think once we've got the educators on board with a tool such as ThingLink, and they can see the impact it can have by potentially doing that course, they can actually almost reflect that onto their teaching and learning and also assessment when the students come through the door. Our students are lucky enough to have their own ThingLink accounts if they wish at college, so they can explore to the heart's content, and it builds up a wonderful layer of digital literacy as well, which is so important with young people, that even if they're coming to college to study something, I don't know, maybe they've come to do catering, they still need that layer of digital literacy for when they leave us. They've got that, because the world we live in at the minute needs that, and it's our responsibility to make sure they've got absolutely everything that makes it possible for them to really be successful in their chosen careers. And just to mention, talking to employers, which I mentioned at the beginning of this session, we have this kind of sort of ping pong conversation about the fact that students that are coming from college are finding it really, really difficult to land a job because they don't have experience. And I think that's really tricky. You're in almost like a catch-22 if you're a young person. You could get fantastic grades, but have you ever stepped foot in a kitchen? No. So being able to talk about the experience that we're providing with these immersive experiences that ThingLink provide is great. And the employers, one in particular from the army, can you imagine how tricky it is to get some kind of real world experience with everything to do with the army? How are you going to know that you want to do that if you can't experience it and you can't talk about it? And a lot of the employers were saying it's communication. Young people find it hard to talk. And that's true. If they can't talk about something they've never experienced, how are they going to succeed in that industry?
Exactly.
So giving them these experiences, going into a cabin, or they can talk about it like they were actually there. They've got that dialogue. And once you've broken that ice with that employer, they'll see how wonderful these young people are, and they can get in the flow of the conversation. And the chap I spoke to from the army said it is as valuable as work experience, because there's no way they can provide a quality work experience for every person that wants to go in the army. It's just not possible. But something like this, it really does bring out the personality of those individuals. And that's when they really get to shine in that interview situation. And fingers crossed, secure those fantastic careers that they've been looking for and worked so hard to get.
Wow.
That's amazing, Kate. Claudia, do you have anything like similar in Italy and the work that you've been involved in?
Well, talking about students that decided to leave school to do nothing really because they don't have any experience, we have plenty, unfortunately. We are fighting hard to bring them back and to give them a proper education, but we are in a moment where everything is changing, but nothing is changing. I don't know whether I'm making myself understood. That is to say, with all this new improvement, technology, artificial intelligence, and so on and so forth, but then methodologies are the 100 years old, and teachers are charismatic and they don't go the extra mile. You know, there are the amazing teachers, because I'm lucky enough to have met a lot of them, but some of them just don't cut it. And so it's our duty to help our students to understand what their past is. Maybe it's not, well, studying is not for all, but, to find motivation, to find something that actually allow them to achieve their potential and to be out there and, who knows, maybe become a pilot, or maybe, do something very useful, maybe just work in a kitchen or be a bartender, which is amazing. I wish I'm not. I'm just not. And sometimes there are skills that comes natural to those kids, and we need to nurture them, and we need to find ways like these ones to allow them to understand what is their path and what they would like to do in their life. As simple as that, right?
And I love the way that, Kate, you talked about those experiences and being able to talk passionately about an experience because you've been in it. But what you've done is you've gone further and found something that they're passionate in. And it doesn't matter what someone's passionate in. If they can find a way to showcase it and talk about it, whatever kind of achievement, which is why I really love the kind of ideas of visual portfolios and visual resumes, where it doesn't matter kind of what's on there. It's just that something you're proud of and something that
exactly.
And just being able to really recognize that everyone's got strengths and everyone's got something they can be really proud of and talk passionately about. It's just enabling people to discover that, isn't it? So I think that's what you were saying there, Claudia, as well. I know that we could talk all day about this, and we invariably do. But I just want to go through a couple of other things as well that's on the deck here. So we talked about the kind of different ways in which you're using the kind of immersive experiences. So, of course, people can have that kind of personal immersion. So it's a kind of individual experience. So young people can do that on their phone. They can obviously do that on their PC or in the college on a device as well. And that means that it's a personal experience, which is self-paced. So that's completely private and accessible. And then, of course, you've got the shared experience, which is where it might be on an interactive projector or a panel or a shared screen so that you can have a shared discussion. And I just wonder, Kate, have you had the opportunity to observe young people viewing and having that kind of shared experience of being that an immersive experience together?
We have, and we've actually tried our hand at running a few ThingLinks within this immersive space here, and we've done that with maybe about 3 learners together, and they collaborate. They automatically collaborate. I think it's a human thing. When you're in that space, they're like, oh, there's a question. Oh gosh, what was it? Can you remember? Do you think it's this? Do you think it's that? And they're actually working together to get to the end goal. And I think the scenario builder within ThingLink is absolutely brilliant. So if you haven't used that before on ThingLink, give it a shot. Have a little look and see what you can do with that, because you can really sort of generate that wonderful teamwork, expressive kind of behavior amongst young people when you put those different scenarios in place to get to the end goal. Even some arguments come out of it, but I like that. It's like a constructive discussion. So yeah, we have seen that in our immersive space, but also within our VR headsets, like going back to the recent art show, we had a very large, beautiful screen with the same experience being shown on there, but also within the headset, so people could actually get excited about seeing it on the screen and go, whoa, and have a look in the headset as well. I want to jump into there. But it actually was a catalyst for discussion. And again, going back to communication, which apparently our young people lack so much, this is actually a trigger for communication, for conversation, for do you like it, for questioning. And that's all about education. It's all about the learning journey. And it's what employers are looking for at the end of the day. Can you talk about stuff? Can you communicate? It really sort of gives that personality the chance to shine, but also sort of sparks curiosity. And curiosity is everything to me. I think with digital technologies, with education, with art, with creativity, it's all about curiosity. And to keep those young people being curious is what it's all about, I think. And so having a shared experience in an environment like this really does help with that, I think.
I think it's really lovely when you show the student examples and students can present their showcase, like the 360 in the immersive space, and see the faces of other students who are experiencing their creation as well, because they could share it with peers and they view it on their device or on a screen, but to actually be in the immersive space and it's a 360 that you've created with your artwork in, and to see people with their smiles and their wows, I think that is absolutely phenomenal and just demonstrates again some of those communication skills, which goes back to the very first slide I show, which is about smiling and greeting and all of those things. And you can't make that kind of feedback up, can you, either, when you see people's faces. So I know that we're coming up to the end of our time, but I really wanted to just show you this as well. So this is the scenario builder that Kate was referring to. And we've got some new things that's coming in the scenario builder as well. So now you'll see that there's a way that you can embed media. That means that you can embed another ThingLink in a block, or you can embed a video or anything with an embed code. So that will be in the block that you saw with the air cabin training, where you can click through. You can add a text block, and that text block also has a built-in audio narration as well, so that you can click it and it will create either a single person, single speaker, or even a deep dive of the text that you've put into it as well. The branching block, which is quite self-explanatory, and then there's the question block as well. And now you can use different types of questions as well. There's fill in the blanks, which is useful for matching different phrases, might be great for language learning. Matching, so that's where you match the different things to each other as well. An open question, which is like an essay, so that you can have long form text, and choosing the correct phrase. So there's a number of different questions that relate to those competencies that I showed you, so that you can actually build in the layers of skills development. And then the other block, which is new, which again has been developed in response to some of your feedback and wishes, and that there will be a grouping activity as well, so that you can group answers together. So these are the new things that you'll see coming to Scenario Builder very soon. There's been a conversational AI tool that's out there where you can actually configure an AI chat to work either as a kind of guiding light or even as a reflective practitioner as well. So these are the kinds of tools that are being specifically designed with that logic around competencies. And of course, then you'll be able to visualize the data and the ways in which people have engaged with them as well. So a little overview and sneaky peek of things that we're going to be launching very soon. So all that's left for me to say, I think, is if you do want to follow this webinar up, I highly recommend, if you're not using ThingLink already, to have a call with Andrew, who will schedule a personalized demonstration. You can even send some materials in and we'll create some demos for you as well. It's not just a video or someone going through slides. They will actually create a personalized demo for you. And I think that's all I've got on my deck. So I'm just going to remove that and say, Kate, I don't know if you're thanked enough for all of the work that you're doing in Nottingham. You're one of our ThingLink certified trainers, as Claudia is as well. But we wouldn't be doing what we're doing if it wasn't for the work that you're doing. And I'd like to thank all of your students as well, who have been able to showcase their work with us. It really is an incredible insight to how you are taking that incredibly challenging and complex problem, but trying to help young people go on to positive destinations with confidence. So from behalf of the whole ThingLink team and everyone watching, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you and all at Nottingham College. And Lisa's saying thank you there as well. Lisa's just saying thank you, some great work, really inspiring.
That's great.
And thank you to the wonderful Claudia. We've not done as many webinars in the last couple of months, but we really love you being part of our webinars. And thank you so much for all the contributions that you make to our team and to the wider ThingLink community as well. So we really appreciate you. An email will be coming out to you all. And if you want to get in touch with Kate, Kate's LinkedIn is on the email. And people can get in touch with you, connect with you on LinkedIn, of course. And Claudia, a link to your link trees on the email as well, so people can follow you and get in touch as well. So on behalf of all of the team, thank you to you for giving up your valuable time and watching this webinar with us. And we hope that some of this has inspired you to get involved. And we'd love to hear from you if you've got any examples that you'd like us to showcase as well. So have a wonderful rest of the day, wonderful evening, wherever you are. And thank you again for being part of our community. Take care, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.